Hey guys, welcome to another math lesson with HK Math and Science. This video is about x and y intercepts, and by the end of this lesson we should know what the x and y intercepts are. Be able to find the x and y intercepts using a graph, be able to find the x and y intercepts using substitution, and finally be able to sketch linear graphs after we found the intercepts. Let's just pause the video here and take a couple of minutes to write these down. So let's start with what the x and y intercepts are. So the y-intercept is the point on a graph where x equals 0. And the x-intercept is the point on the graph where y equals 0. So let's have a look at the graph on the right here. X equals 0 is this whole line here, so the whole y-axis, and y equals 0 is this whole line here, horizontally, so the x-axis. So to find the y-intercept when we're given a graph, it's just where the linear line, the linear graph or equation, crosses the y-axis there. So that would be your y-intercept, and that's when x equals 0. Remember, that is x and that's y. And to find the x-intercept, exactly the same thing, but we're looking for where the linear graph crosses the horizontal line or the x-axis. So that will be right here. Remember, that's when y equals 0. See, y equals 0 there, and for the y-intercept, x equals 0. So once again, when you're given a graph like this, y-intercept is just where your line crosses at the y-axis. That's your y-intercept, and the x-intercept is where it crosses at the x-axis. So right here. However, you're not always given a graph like this. You might just be given the equation like that. So now we're going to learn how to find the y-intercept when we're given the equation. So remember, y-intercept is the point on where x equals 0. Remember here, x equals 0 is where the y-intercept is. So we're just going to substitute x equals 0 into this equation to get the y-intercept. So if we do that, I've got the working out here, but I'll do it again on the right for you. Y equals 2x plus 4. We're going to substitute the x with 0. So that gives me y equals 2 times 0 plus 4, you can write it like that or like that, and 2 times 0 is 0, so 0 plus 4 gives me y equals 4. It's exactly the same as what we got on the right there. And that's exactly the same with the x-intercept. We can substitute y equals 0 this time, because remember, y is 0 there at the x-intercept. So let's have a go at doing that. It was y equals 2x plus 4. We're going to substitute y as 0. So 0 equals 2x plus 4. I'm just going to solve this algebraically. Remember, we need to get rid of the 4 on the right. So we need to subtract 4 on both sides. That gives me negative 4 here equals 2x. Now I need to divide both sides by 2 to get rid of the 2 times x. That gives me negative 2 equals x. So x-intercept is negative 2, as you can see right there. Alright, let's have a go at a couple of questions now. So we have these rules here. We need to find both the x and y intercepts. So let's just start with the y intercept, because that one's easier to find. So y intercept, I'll just write that here, is going to be when x equals 0. So y equals 3. Let's substitute that as 0 minus 6. That will be 3 times 0, which is 0 minus 6. That gives me y intercept is negative 6. Now let's go over to the x-intercept. This one is when y equals 0, remember that. So 0 is going to equal 3x minus 6. I need to get rid of the 6 on the right, so I'm going to add 6 to both sides. That gives me 6 equals 3x. Now I need to divide both sides by 3. If you remember that from last year, that gives me 2 equals x. So the x-intercept is 2 and the y-intercept is negative 6. Now let's have a go at the next question together. Y equals negative 2x plus 1. Remember, y-intercept is just when x equals 0. So let's have a go at that. That gives me y equals negative 2 times 0 plus 1. That gives me 0 plus 1 equals 1. So y-intercept is going to be 1. And now for the x-intercept, I'll just write x-int. That's when y equals 0, so 0 equals negative 2x plus 1. Subtract 1 from both sides, that gives me negative 1 on the left and negative 2x on the right. Now I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. That gives me half on the left and x on the right. So the x-intercept is going to be half or 0.5, either one is fine. Alright, now it's your turn. Pause the video here, have a go at these ones by yourself, and just unpause the video when you're ready to go through them with me. Alright, so let's find the y-intercept first on the left. So remember, that's just when x equals 0, so y equals 2 times 0 minus 10. So the y-intercept is going to be negative 10. And the x-intercept, let's have a go at that one. That's when y equals 0, so 0 equals 2x minus 10. Add 10 to both sides. That gives me 10 equals 2x. Now divide both sides by 2. That gives me 5 equals x. So our x-intercept is 5 and our y-intercept is -10. Give yourself a tick if you got each of those correct. Now moving on to question B. Start with the y-intercept again. That's when x equals 0, so y equals -5 times 0 plus 2. That gives me +2. And x-intercept is when y equals 0, so 0 equals -5x plus 2. Add 2 to both sides, subtract 2 to both sides, sorry. That gives me -2 equals -5x. Now divide both sides by -5. That gives me 2 over 5 equals x. So our x-intercept is going to be 2 over 5 and our y-intercept is +2. Give yourself a tick for each one you got correct there. Alright, now this time we're going to find the x and y intercepts and then use that to sketch the graph of this rule here. So let's start off by finding the x and y intercept. So the y intercept, again, when x equals 0, so y equals 2 times 0 minus 8. That gives me y equals -8. And x intercept, then y equals 0, so 0 equals 2x minus 8. Add 8 to both sides. 8 is going to equal 2x. Now divide both sides by 2. So x equals 4 there. So we got our x and y intercepts there. And to draw a graph using these, let's start off by drawing the Cartesian plane. So that's the y-axis and that's the x-axis. That's x and y. Let's plot the x and y intercepts first. So the x-intercept is at 4, so that's roughly, I'll say that's roughly around here. So that'll be 4, 0. And our y-intercept is at -8. That's around, I'll say it's around down here. 0, -8. And remember, because it's just a straight line, we can get the linear graph just by connecting these two lines and just keep going through. This is meant to be a straight line. Really sorry that it's wonky, but I don't have a ruler on me. So make sure you're connecting that with the ruler, connecting those two lines with the ruler and extending past them, drawing arrows to show that it is continuous. Alright, so just in summary, to solve this equation, you need to find these two intercepts, plot the x and y intercepts, and then connect the two lines and go a bit further and draw arrows on each end. Alright, so now it's your turn. Let's just pause the video here and have a go at this one by yourself and just unpause it when you're ready to go through it with me. Alright, once again, let's start by finding the x and y intercept. So the y intercept, once again, it's at y equals 3 times 0 plus 6. That gives me y equals 6. And the x intercept is 0 equals 3x plus 6. Subtract 6 from both sides. That gives me -6 on the left and 3x on the right. Divide both sides by 3. That gives me -2 on the left and x on the right. So x-intercept is at -2 and y-intercept is at 6. So let's sketch this one again as well. That's the y-axis, that's the x-axis, and that's the origin. Y equals 6, that's around up here. That'll be 0, 6. X equals -2, that's around here. And draw a straight line using a ruler. I don't have one on me, so let's just do that. There we go. And that's what your graph should roughly look like. Give yourself a tick for each part you got correct there. Alright, so that brings us to the end of this video. Hopefully by now you guys know what the x and y intercepts are, can find the x and y intercepts using both a graph and substitution, and can sketch linear graphs using the intercepts. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys all back online.